said she had some things of mine, a chair, a book, and a little gray piece of paper. She thought it was a poem I wrote that never made the news. Nah, 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 nah. All the colors are long gone. She had met a friend of mine, and Tommy was the best thing that ever happened. Guess the guys I used to hang with are all growing up now too. Nah, 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 nah. All the colors are long gone. Said she had some things of mine, a chair, a book, a little gray piece of paper. She told me she had met a friend of mine, and Tommy was the best thing that ever happened. Are long gone. All the colors are long gone. Sunrise morning, such a pretty sight. Pink clouds drifting, pushing back the night.
What's good, friends? How's everybody tonight? Welcome back to Role Playing Unlimited presents Agent Orange across the Pecos. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you too, man.
Hello, howdy, everyone.
Good evening.
As we can see, I'm doing some impromptu technical fixes here on the live stream. Unfortunately, we did all this beforehand, but sometimes it just seems like it has a mind of its own.
Unbelievable.
My name across your Pecos? What the hell? What's going on? Hans Loves D&D. Special shout out to him tonight. Joining us from, he and his wife are getting ready to be parents here, hopefully tonight or maybe tomorrow. So congratulations.
Congratulations to the happy couple.
Of course, the running joke is this is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them, because one Johansson is enough. We never thought that we would see spawn of Johansson, but we are going to, and I'm sure it's going to be lovely. Oh, thank you very much for that, Hans Loves D&D.
Wasn't there always this mother's curse that, hey, when you have kids, they're going to be just like you? I mean, just think about it. Another Johansson.
It's going to be an interesting experience for sure. Getting into parenthood for the first time is unlike anything else I can only imagine.
It's going to be the game.
Well, let's pick it up from where we left off last week. We got ourselves into a party split situation wherein Eric is determined to get back to Roswell because he has to report in. He actually works at a missile silo, and he deems this to be very important. And he has convinced Earl and Matthew to accompany him, basically as guards and transport as well, because Eric got shot in the leg. He ain't driving himself anywhere. He certainly ain't walking anywhere. So he's got Earl in his pickup truck and Matthew in his passenger van, taking him up north to Roswell, past Artesia. We also have Pablo, who is our custodial worker, who's made it with us this far out of the stadium. So we'll see if he is fortunate for another session here. This might be the last session. This might be the penultimate session. We will see. In either case, I'm thinking 1 to 2 sessions remaining of this story. We'll see what develops tonight. In our other group, we have Paul and Derek, our mystic and our medic, Team M&M. We got E&E on one side and M&M on the other. And they are determined to head east across the Pecos River to Lovington, where James's father, or Matthew's father, I should say, played by James, but not to confuse everybody because the father's name is James. So we got a double James there. I thought James would latch onto his father a little bit more if he shared the name with him. Haha. So James's father, or I'm sorry, Matthew's father, James, is a big guy in the community of Lovington, living with a bunch of different farmhands, and James himself, the father, is a paranoid prepper type, well before his people became more prevalent in the world as we see them today. So he's actually got kind of a rare situation going. He's got a stockpile, he's got defenses, he's got multiple people in the area living around him that are all kind of the same mind. And when he reached your party on the radio, he extended the invitation, hey, why don't you guys come here? We can all kind of make a go of this together, at least have a base of operations from which to kind of stage anything else from. And that in itself is what caused the party schism, because Eric was not feeling that, at least not in the here and now. He deemed the reporting in at Roswell to be of higher priority. And the rest of the group kind of split half and half. We got Derek and Paul that are going to go east to Matthew's father's ranch without Matthew, strangely enough, because Matthew is going with Earl to escort Eric north through Carlsbad, through Artesia, and up into Roswell. Our NPCs likewise split in half. We've got Kate, who went with Derek and Paul, and we've got Pablo, who went with Team E&E, and also Samantha, who is Paul's love interest, and she made an appearance last session, so Paul is definitely intent on protecting her, and she has a tie-in to the ranch as well, so of course she wants to go there, and Paul is going to stay by her side. Now, we ended the session last week. Both groups kind of got a little ways away from where they had kind of stopped to discuss the possibility of their remaining together, their splitting. And the Paul-Derek group, they made their way east through Carlsbad, stopping at a gas station to check on some maps, get some extra supplies to get them the few hours east to Lovington, when Kate was suddenly bitten by a zombie that was kind of pinned under some fallen shelving. And after the zombie was dispatched, we ended that section of the group with Paul bringing down his sword for an amputation in the hopes of saving her from the toxin that is spreading throughout her body. Our other group, heading north throughout Carlsbad, they were stopped by a series of flooded streets. We're kind of coming up on a lower point in Carlsbad, and these blocks are all just solidly flooded by like 1.5 feet to like 3 feet of water. And somewhere in this flood, somebody is honking frantically on presumably their car horn. And when your characters fired a flare to get their attention, it definitely garnered a response from whoever's on the other side of this horn. And without any way to safely traverse this flooded area, your characters decided, all right, well, we have to get through here just to get through Carlsbad itself. We'll see what's up with whoever's honking the horn here, see if we can help them, but either way, we gotta cross. We can't wait for the waters to recede. There's nothing we can do. We can't fly over this. So going into the flood is where we ended the cliffhanger for that section of the group. And I just want to pick it up right there with both of our groups respectively. And we're going to start off with Team M&M. With Dawn, let's have you roll another attack roll there. I believe you rolled one last week, an 8 to hit with 15 damage. We're going to have you roll another one here to start off the session. And I'm not going to tell you which one of them I'm going to use, whether you're getting advantage or disadvantage, but that's kind of the case we're going with.
All right, here we go.
Too loose to get tight.
15 to hit, 24 damage.
All right. Well, fortunately, that is the one that we are going with. So better attack, better damage. It is a clean slice. Despite the fact that your blade does not see action very often, it is something that your character is proud of and he keeps maintained. So it's got a keen blade, and you've got a sharp eye. in this particular instance, which severs her limb at an angle just above the bite, maybe a couple inches. And she lets out the loudest piercing scream imaginable, which has just got to draw even more LD to the area. I'm going to roll a willpower check for her. And after a scream that lasts maybe 5-10 seconds or so, it is instantly truncated as she just falls unconscious from the shock and the pain.
Well, hold on. Because, I mean, this is what I am there on hand for. I imagine holding her while this happens. So, there to help, something to bite on and to help address the wound.
For sure.
As possible.
Oh, absolutely. And that will definitely be our next stage here, where you're going to be rolling some medicine checks to dress the wound. And if she's got something in her mouth that you've got her biting on, she's basically just grimacing and screaming as she can through that. Because, yeah, that's probably the smart play to have bite down on this, because this going to hurt.
As
Right,
long as it's
yeah,
not
absolutely.
a finger or anything, because that'll be gone.
Yeah, maybe have her bite down on the finger of the zombie that just bit her.
Gross. Now we get to chop her head off.
Yeah. Carlsbad Collectibles with a zombie coming out of it calling me Guy. I don't think he lives in Carlsbad. I think he's a bit further northwest from there, but we can definitely run into Carl at some point. It would make sense if he lived in Carlsbad, I mean. So yeah, John, let's have Derek roll a medicine check. She definitely is still passing out from failing her willpower check there. And medicine check. What supplies are we working with here?
I mean, I have those first aid kits, so I imagine I have, antibiotics, what is that? Like the alcohol wipes, and basic suturing equipment and bandages.
Okay. Very cool. So,
Bubblegum, that's pretty good too.
say what?
Bubblegum. Bubblegum works really good for amputation.
You're not even here. Quiet you. Alright, so medicine check of 13 plus some circumstance bonuses, actually, from some of the equipment that we have on hand. And the wound is wrapped up rather quickly. You're imagining now, John, it's just a situation of we gotta let her either recover or slide down the scale here, and only time is going to tell that. So, do we want to press on moving here with somebody carrying her, or are we going to kind of make this gas station our base for a little bit?
Is anybody strong enough to carry her on their own?
Well, it's between Paul and Samantha and yourself in that instance.
I have a strength of 1.
I would guess not.
Let's see. I have a strength of. Where's person in gym? Of 1.
Well, I can also tell you that Samantha has a strength of 1, as does Kate. So this is a very unfortunate setup that we have here.
Can we fashion some kind of gurney or something?
It's certainly possible. You're looking around. It definitely looks like whoever was here in the gas station before you utilized this place in some creative ways. Like, they took apart the shelving and they took a lot of the valuable pieces that you could see for that shelving. But the shelving backs, while not the thickest wood, there's enough of them around that you could probably layer them and fashion something that would be suitable.
Alright, well that may be what we need to do. What time of day is it?
It's about Early afternoon, like maybe 2 p.m.
And do we have a sense of how far this ranch is?
From what you understand, once you can find a way to get across the river, because the main pedestrian, or not pedestrian, but the main street bridge is broken. It was destroyed in the tornado last night. Once you get across the river, it's only maybe like 2 hours if you got a car.
There's all these stipulations there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, nothing's going to be as easy as just a direct path.
It's only 2 hours across the river, if you have a car.
And the bridge is broken, so you can't just get in a car and drive.
Right. So, how long are we talking without a car? That considerably longer.
Yeah, without a car, you could be looking at the better part of a day.
I think we might need to hole up here for the day and see how her condition changes.
All right.
Okay.
Do you think we can find a place that we'd be able to hold up that they won't be able to find us in?
Is anywhere here have like a fire like basement or something?
Well, you'd have to check the buildings one by one to determine that. You're not certain if you want to go down that route. What I can say is this gas station having been used by our original survivors only last night, the windows are all boarded up, except for one of them. There's a window on the side that just has some drapes pulled over it, but otherwise the glass is broken and it's completely exposed. Both of your characters looking at it, you kind of envision like that was almost an escape route for whoever was here. Like they pulled a vehicle up right flush to the building, and it was like a truck with its window down, so they could just hop right out of the building into the truck and just peel ass out of there in a worst case scenario. It's the only reason you can think of why everything else is as secure as it is, except for this one window.
All right. Well, do we want to secure it?
Yeah, we're gonna have to find some way to secure it. Is there a walk-in freezer?
There is.
Well, if we could turn off the power, we can use the walk-in freezer. But the biggest disadvantage of that, though, is we would have no way out if they block the front door.
Not a problem with the power either, because the power is out all across town. And securing the window won't be an issue as well, because all the things that were cannibalized in here by the previous group of survivors, there's sufficient materials to board up the window. You just have to basically re-secure the door, because when they left, they took all that stuff down, and of course they didn't bother to re-secure the door on their way out.
So I think we secure that window. This seems like it's a relatively fortified place. We're hoping to only stay tonight. Let's put the wounded patient in the walk-in freezer so we can secure her away from everybody else for if and when she turns.
All right.
Okay. And then otherwise, just securing the building for yourselves.
Yep.
Yeah, we're just gonna shut up tonight and just chill.
Okay. Rest of the afternoon and see what comes next. Very cool. From there, we will switch it over to our group heading into the floodwaters here. And Justin, you are in the lead vehicle with Jason, right? And then we have James and Pablo riding 20 feet behind you guys, whatever.
That sounds accurate.
Okay, very cool. Let's get notice checks from all three of you players involved in Team E&E. and M, EME.
I'm sure who that buff guy is.
I find it strange that you don't know who he is. Even though we can't see you on camera, James, just in the spirit of old times, let's get a buff dance.
Oh snap! One second. Oh.
Very cool. Got a few of us in on that. I know Hans Loves D&D is buff dancing in the hospital right now and raising a few eyebrows. All right. So here's where the feces hits the oscillating mechanism. As our first group rolling in the pickup truck enters into the floodwaters, and of course instantly the traction and the reaction of the vehicle change. Thankfully, it's a vehicle that Earl has spent many years driving in, maybe not this exact type of terrain, but some pretty rough terrain. He's an off-roader. He likes this kind of shit. Unfortunately, Eric called it on the... he hit the nail on the head, it seems, last week when he anticipated that this might be a busted water main, which could impact the actual integrity of the street itself. And I'm going to take some dramatic, in some cases exaggerated liberties here, because of course anybody who knows anything about the real world reality of sewers and what have you would recognize this to be a complete fallacy. But for the interest of creative, dramatic incidents, we are going to play this out with, as your characters are getting into the floodwaters here, the street just crumbles underneath you, and there's not even time to recognize what's happening due to the severity of what I just rolled there, before you're instantly just on a different plane entirely, and you're seeing the buildings like sinking around you, except you recognize that it's your vehicle that's sinking into the street. And the sewers below you are completely flooded. So you don't like fall and collapse 10, 15 feet, whatever. You actually just kind of sink instantly, maybe like 4 feet, and you can instantly feel like the water's coming in to your feet here on the floorboard. And then the vehicle is like rapidly starting to just sink at a rate of a few inches a second further into the sewers, which I might add is where the tornado last night and the intense rainstorms seem to have wiped away a large majority of zombies in this area into the sewers themselves. So now with this broken access right here that you've created, you find yourselves sinking into a pool of zombies that are in some cases as close as 5 feet just on the other side of the broken passenger side window, I might add.
Am I going to be able to gun the truck backwards to get out of this, or what?
You're already submerged. You don't think you're going to have any reaction from the truck. It's pretty much an escape mission now.
Would I be able to behind about 20 feet or so?
Well, you're just starting to enter the flood here, so what is your reaction upon seeing their vehicle submerge? Because you're looking at maybe the top half of their truck now at the street level, because the rest of it has already sunken into the sewer.
As to not lose the vehicle, he would back it up immediately, and then once it looked like it was secure, go and try to assist him in the truck.
You mean by getting out of the vehicle and checking it out on foot?
Correct. As long as it wasn't like it isn't like it's super crazy, like deep.
Okay. Well, based on how their vehicle looked before it submerged, you would guess the depth of the water was about 2 feet before the street crumbled underneath them.
Okay, so that's manageable. Like to go out there and not be like underwater.
Right, you would think so. I mean, it's the current is kind of still coming and going as well. Just to kind of recap the scene from last week, it's like it's not a constant rush of water. It's like a kind of rush. It's almost like the tide, how it just kind of comes in and then it slowly recedes and then it comes in again.
No, I understand. I got you.
Okay, so Matthew gets out of his vehicle.
Well, if it's obvious the truck is lost, are we going to be able to get into the back where the bike is and get that out?
You would guess probably not for that either, short of somebody outside of this pit actually like helping you pull it out because it's already below the plane of the street. You wouldn't have any traction to get it out. I want to say maybe if you got like a 10 on your drive check, you might be able to wheelie it up just perfectly and distribute the weight accurately so that you didn't cause the street to crumble anymore. So there's a chance, but it's very unlikely.
A 10 on the die or on the roll?
On the die.
Okay.
Now, James, in your case, as you are exiting the vehicle as Matthew, you go to close the door, and a bullet tears through your hand for 4 points of damage before impaling itself into the more or less armored exterior of your van. And from behind you, at a distance of only 20 feet, you see a guy who is staggering, and he is just covered in soot and refuse, and he's scratched and bruised and bloodied all to crap. And the only person who might recognize this guy is Earl himself, after having traded fire with him earlier this morning in front of where his pickup truck was parked. This is a survivor of the building that you, Matthew, rocket launched a few hours ago. And this is our recurring villain for the campaign, as you have stayed close enough to the site that he's been able to track you to this point where now that you've left the vehicle, he's going to open up some gunfire on you, but unfortunately all he has left is a 38.
Well, at this point, since it looks like you said there's like zombies just outside the doors.
Exactly. On the passenger side, there's zombies already right there. On your side, Justin, you've got an extra 5-foot buffer. The zombies, of course, have no control in the floodwaters. They're just kind of getting washed back and forth anyway. But the current positioning, they're right outside Jason's side, a little bit further outside yours.
All right, with that in mind, I'm going to take the butt of the rifle, the shotgun, whichever I've got, and bust out the back window so we can climb out into the bed where the bike is, and I'm going to try and use the bike with both of us on it since his leg is injured to get a little like and get the fuck out of here.
All right. What's Eric's reaction?
You just take the bike. I'll try and swim out of here. I'll shoot some of these zombies on my way.
No, goddammit, get on the bike. It's the only way to get out of here.
You're not going to make it with both of us on there. Just go.
I can do it. Get your fuck on the bike. You're injured, motherfucker.
With that, I'll blast the first zombie outside my window to clear away, and I'll make my way out the window and use, since I can move a little easier in the water, since I don't have to support my leg, I'll make my way out.
Okay. Let's... Okay. And Earl is leaving via the blasted back windshield. Both of you make it into the trunk of the vehicle. Let's have... Let's have an acrobatics or athletics check made from both of you here. And while they're doing that, James, what is your response to this guy shooting you in the hand?
Obviously he immediately, open up on him with the shotgun because he was one surprised and seeing that guy staggering towards him, he just wants to immediately deal with that threat.
Okay. And of course, you don't recognize this person by their face at all, but by their condition, you're almost instantly positive, like, this dude survived getting blasted by a rocket launcher. Whoa!
Yeah, definitely surprised, but he's just gonna take essentially a turn and get a snap shot at him.
So, yeah, this is one of those iconic villain moments where the guy is, like, staggering towards you, coughing up some blood. He's got his pistol kind of shakingly in his hand, pointed at you, and he's, "You son of a bitch! I'm gonna kill you!" Boom! And, like, half of his chest is blasted away, and he just instantly falls on the pavement dead before he hits the ground. Yeah, I believe Jason has the rifle, and Justin took the shotgun. Yeah.
Thought it was the other way around.
Justin took the shotgun. You started off the other way around, but when he decided to rush the building right before James rocket launched it, he switched with you. Okay.
Also, you said you were better with the rifle anyway.
Yes, he did. All right, and J-Man, let's go ahead and get a ride or drive check here from you to see if the force is with you. All right. Hearts together. Oof. All right, you try to gun the bike out of here, and you actually do get the front wheel up on the side of the curb, but just at that moment, a pair of zombies get into the back of the truck with you and change the weight, and they actually grab on to Eric, who's, of course, fighting them off as best he can in his now compromised position. And just then, the section of street that you have the wheel perched on crumbles and the bike comes back down in the back of the truck, which then instantly lurches like another foot into the water. And now you guys are like up to your chest in sewer water and other water that's just kind of rushing through here.
With the rifle, and then I'll start trying to make my way swimming like towards the shallow end on the other side.
Yeah, what's the ground looking like around the truck at this point? You said the back's kind of collapsing. What's the rest of it look like?
It's completely collapsed around you. Like, you guys almost made like a perfect pit with your truck. So it's all crumbling gravel on all sides of the truck as best you can tell. There's not really any area that would be more advantageous, aside from maybe the front side, because then if you could climb up onto the cab, you could maybe almost kind of jump onto the curb, or the street, what's left of it anyway. But even that is under a good foot or so of water, even though this hole opened up. The street was pretty much flooded entirely under it, so the water depth hasn't really changed much.
Am I able to be in a position to cover them, essentially, while they're trying to come out?
Not with the shotgun, because they are a bit further away, even though your vehicle was only a bit distant, just because of the angle that it's at. You'd actually have to get closer into the floodwater if you want to try to cover them. Pablo is getting out of the vehicle as well, and he is just rushing right into the floodwater. And it looks like he's intent on at least providing a hand, because he has no weapons.
Okay, then I'll just move closer, at least to try to get in position to be able to. At least because, swimming you're very exposed, so you get to the edge, essentially where it drops.
Okay, so is the plan for E&E to basically get out of here at this point?
Well, that's been the plan.
For sure. I mean, just now bereft of the motorcycle as well.
No, I'm going to try one more thing with the motorcycle. I'm going to try and aim it towards the cab of the truck and use that as a way to get springed out of there.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Eric catches the one next to him just right under the chin and blasts its head off with his rifle before he starts trying to make his way out as well. Before either of you make any rolls, we're going to move back to our other group, who is still in the gas station, and they're basically preparing to fortify the place for themselves. Let's get trap rolls from either of you if you have that. Otherwise, go ahead and roll intelligence.
I actually have trap.
Do you want me to roll intelligence or just that trap there?
Yeah, go ahead and roll intelligence if you don't have the traps skill, but if you do, then feel free to roll that.
Could I also utilize my jury rig to roll twice?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take the 16.
Wow, look at you guys. Very cool, Hans. Hope Lorena's doing well. Okay, so with a pair of maximized dice rolls there, you guys are also securing that open window, if I understand correctly?
Yep.
Okay, so the window and the front door are now secure. You also have your patient inside of the walk-in fridge, which is still a little bit cool because it's been sealed since the power went out, and of course it doesn't just drop temperature to room temperature immediately. So I don't know how you guys want to handle that. Do you want to leave the door open for a bit and just kind of watch over her, or do you just want to throw her in the cold room?
No, we're going to watch over her.
Yeah, definitely keeping an eye on her. We can leave the door open, and then basically when she's not actively being watched, we can seal it up.
Okay. Alright, well in her case, the situation does not take long to reveal itself. It is about an hour later after you've put her in there that she starts coughing and shivering and complaining of some maladies that Derek would not typically associate with an amputated limb. Like, you guys are already keeping her warm, you haven't trapped her in the cold room, you're tending to her as best you can with what you have, and both of you just get this sinking feeling that you not necessarily you didn't catch it in time, but that what you did not resolve the issue.
Well, okay then.
So what do we do now?
Well, this thing locks from the outside, right?
It does not lock from either side. It is easier to open from the outside because the outside has the handle that you can just kind of pull to open the door, whereas the inside has that kind of knob that you have to like push and then twist at the same time. It's possible that an undead would be able to get the door open, but it would pretty much be a matter of chance.
Well, there you go. I mean, effectively, we can even try to wedge something up against this door and leave a sign or something. Unless you want to deal with it.
You mean like kill someone?
Samantha's looking at you with shock in her eyes as you say that.
Right.
And then she just kind of
So-
starts weeping and walks away, mumbling something about, I can't deal with this.
I think we make her comfortable and wait, and then we go.
Okay, but that's gonna still leave her as a zombie back here.
And
True. All right.
So we're just going to wait it out and make absolutely certain that it happens.
Yeah.
And then once it does, are we clearing out, or are we just going to close the door and still remain here for the rest of the day?
yeah, that's the question. I don't love the idea of making a run for it at night, but we should probably still sleep. But here's the thing. We're going to all have trauma if we spend all night listening to her zombie clawing at the door.
But on one leg, I don't think those things can hop.
Yeah, I don't know, right? I mean, I just don't think anybody wants to kill her.
I'm not staying here with that with her, says Samantha.
Do we want to just make sure, and then I think if we could, like, take turns napping, I'm sure one of us could be awake enough to drive, if something should happen.
What's our timeline here based on what we've seen for other people developing into zombies?
What you had witnessed was about a 90-minute turnaround in the case of the one lady who was bitten back at the supermarket.
And how long has it been now?
It's been about that in total now since she's been bitten and amputated and put in the safe room. It's been just over an hour.
Okay. So we've maybe bought a little time, but only delayed it at best. That in mind, I think we can pretty much just sit here with her. And when she turns, presumably deal with it, Sword Man.
Well, all right. I mean, it would probably be easier to deal with her full-fledged zombie than anything else.
Well, we let her pass with some dignity.
You mean kill her now?
No. Let her. Well. No, I mean let's let her pass on before we do anything.
All right. Yeah. Let's do it that way. So our decision is going to be we're going to let her completely turn in there and then dispatch her, and hopefully that will prevent not prevent, but that won't cause other zombies to come and find us for the night.
Okay. It's about 15 minutes later when she just begins some violent groaning and moaning. She's no longer coherent at all. And a few moments after that, it looks like she falls unconscious, and then there begins some seizures and what have you before it looks like she finally passes. And it's only a few seconds after that she comes to again. as a zombie. Like, you see, it's a very short transition process from when she actually dies to when she turns. And instantly as she turns, like, you think initially that the seizures might have returned, but instead she's just kind of thrashing about, presumably smelling or sensing the living flesh nearby her through whatever means exist.
Yeah, I'm gonna move to restrain her when I can.
And
Okay.
I will make the final chop.
Let's have both of you do a willpower check.
On regular or difficult?
This would be difficult.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Well, it's not that you can't do it, it's just that there's a moment of hesitation while you have the advantage on her. Just the reality of, we don't know her, but we do know her. We met her, we lived with her for a day in the worst possible moment of human history, and just all kinds of conflicting emotions enter your mind, which gives her just enough time to angle her head and take a snap at your foot, Dawn, as you're standing there next to her. But thankfully, your leather boots absorb the thrashing of her teeth long enough for you to kind of snap out of it, just like, okay, yeah, it's very sad, there's a lot of conflicting emotions, but one thing that's not conflicting is she must die now. And now you may roll your attack. And that will end the life and undeath of Kate forevermore. Rest in peace, yes indeed.
I'm going to go outside and throw up.
Okay, which barricade are you going to take apart? Because you guys have secured yourselves in here pretty well.
All right, I'm going to go to the bathroom and throw up.
All right, fair enough. Poor Kate, indeed. Both Joe and Kate, our hippies, have both perished to zombies. And Pablo is still among the living, fortunately, the final NPC survivor from the initial stadium in Session 1. And we'll go ahead and pan back over to that group right now, as Pablo is rushing into the floodwaters. Earl is attempting one more time to get out with his motorcycle, which will be an even more difficult stunt at this stage. Eric is basically trying to get himself out of there, but given the options at hand, Pablo sees what Earl is trying to do, he sees what Eric is trying to do. He diverts course to get up next to Eric, and he's going to basically, give me a hand, give me your hand. And he'll try to help you get out of there. Justin, go ahead, roll your drive check, and Jason, a climb check. It's what Cartman would have wanted.
Die, you hippies! Do it!
Woo! 17. Oof. All right. Eric takes Pablo's hand, and between the two of them, Eric is pulled out of the flooded pit, not without a bit of struggling from a pair of zombies that are still there trying to attack your legs. And Earl, in his second attempt, unfortunately, the bike just kind of topples over as it hits the cab of the vehicle, and Earl actually falls off of it as the truck is now completely submerged with the exception of the very top of the cab, which you could basically use as like a platform for maybe another round.
Oh, thank you. And as I'm getting myself out, I use my good leg and just kick a zombie right in the head.
All right. Pablo puts his arm around you, knowing your weakened state, and he says, "Come on, we got to get out of here." And as you're hobbling back to the van with Pablo's support, you see the shotgun blasted body of the guy in the street here before you, and you see Matthew carrying the shotgun, also now approaching the flooded area to help you the rest of the way. It's like, what the hell?
I look at the blasted body, look over at Matthew. Friend of yours.
He was a friend of my shotgun. I told him to smile and wait for the flash, and he did.
Two must have been close.
Okay. Yes, he was very close. And now he's not so close anymore.
J-Man, let's get a climb check from you. Sorry to interrupt.
That's strength or dex.
That would be strength.
Where is Earl?
You see Earl now prying himself out of the pit as well best he can, except the pavement crumbles as he puts his weight on it, and the truck now goes completely under to inaccessible depths. And Earl is basically trying to just kind of keep afloat at this point because his handhold that he had on the street is now crumbled. So he may be in some need of assistance.
Go help him. I'll wait here and keep guard.
All I can really hear is between splutters in the water is cursing.
So I'll quickly sling the shotgun and head over there and try to assist him as I can.
Okay, so James, we'll get a strength check out of you, and J-Man will get another climb check or strength check out of you as well, please.
I also use strength or no? Or not strength, but climbing to assist. Or would the strength be more applicable?
In your case, it's going to be strength.
Seems like pretty good.
Okay, strength check, and Earl is now pulled free of the waters as well. And I have a couple of zombies in your path here.
Obviously, as soon as I get him up on ground, I will rearm myself and try to do what I can to clear us back the paths of the vehicle.
What kind of armor do you have, James?
I'll take that.
Do you have like leather coat or anything that gives like some kind of defense?
I do.
I have a field jacket, like just like almost like a military style jacket, thicker jacket, like canvas almost.
Okay, I'd say equivalent resistance. So one of them lunges at Earl with a bite attack, and almost accidentally because of him stumbling now after not having had any solid ground under his feet for the last minute or so. There's kind of some disorientation as he finally gets his feet under him. And in being off balance, this zombie just kind of lunges at the wrong spot and in turn falls into the pit as well. Then one of them comes at Matthew with a scratch attack that looks like it's coming right at your face. Let's roll the die 4 for your jacket and see how much of that damage you can resist.
Can I take a shot at one of those zombies?
Yes, you can. There's a bit of hesitation for reasons, but yeah, feel free to take a shot. Yeah, it's a shot that just kind of rings through the area but doesn't connect with anything solid. James, you're going to take 1 point of scratch damage to the cheek.
Tis but a scratch.
He's infected. Kill him now. Kill him.
He might be. We've seen scratches infect people to death before, but 1 point of damage would definitely be the literal minimum for infection.
Well, okay, you say that, but this is what he would do. Okay, is there other enemies nearby?
There are other zombies still kind of shambling through the area behind you. The closest one maybe 25, 30 feet away. And then there's some of them that are still kind of thrashing about in the pit that was unveiled with the sunken pickup, but because zombies can't swim, they're all rapidly sinking.
Gotcha. So then he would, kind of grab Earl by his jacket or whatever and start kind of pulling him towards the van. Because I probably at this point, he's so amped up, he would probably not feel anything at least at that, he's a bit scratched.
All right.
Well,
So
it's funny that he's trying to pull me away with the zombie that's kind of attacking Matthew right next to me. I'm just gonna like shoulder check it into the pit.
go ahead and roll it.
Down in the pit. Down in the pit.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
Good time.
Oh, damn. Earl almost throws himself in the pit. Still kind of off balance, but thankfully Matthew's got a hold on him, so at least you don't throw yourself back down in there. But you do miss the zombie entirely.
So what I'll do at that point is, since he's right next to him, assuming, right? I'll put it like essentially the muzzle in its mouth and try to shoot him.
All right, all right. Eat this! Like to keep this handy for close encounters.
Yeah, no, so what I'll do is we'll see if it hits, and then I'll have a 100.
Oh yeah, it hits, and with usual flair, it splatters the area with the remains of the person that you shot. Earl gets a little bit on his shoulder.
And I'll say, don't talk with your mouth full.
Oh
I was
boy.
just trying to give him a look like, did you really just say that?
And I'll wink at Earl and then continue to pull him towards me.
Kind of shaking my head, get the water out. Oh.
All right. And we still have somebody laying on the horn further into the flood that we still never got to. So, what is our play here? This street now is pretty much impassable. I mean, we could try another street and see if it's maybe got more of solid ground underneath it. James's van is definitely heavier than Justin's truck was, though, so you don't know how much success you're going to have getting out of here. Might be better.
Yeah.
The honking seems a little more frantic, even, like as you guys were experiencing a rise in the tension. Whoever this is behind the horn is also in some deep shit.
But are we able to pinpoint the origin? Like, can we see essentially the vehicle?
No better than you've been able to. You're able to tell that it's further into the flood, but like there's buildings directly interposed between you and the source of it. You can tell it's close, 2 blocks at the most, probably 1 block, but you still got to go through the flood to get to it.
So that's a huge risk to board through this water. They move through like an urban environment to get there. And for all we know, it's somebody just dead or dying, laying on a horn, their body against a horn. Unless they're like, tapping the horn, essentially.
Yeah, there was more of a response. It wasn't like they were just laying on this rhythmic thing.
So like, burr, 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 burr.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you want? Where is Eric in relation to us, I guess?
I guess we just kind of crawled back to him because he was like covering us.
Anybody have a lighter?
What?
A lighter, like for cigarettes or cigars?
Probably somewhere in your group there's a lighter. Hey, Pops.
Okay, Earl, I need you to do something.
I don't smoke, so I don't get no lighter.
Somebody has a lighter. Soldier Boy, what about you?
I don't smoke, but I have one that I picked up in Nam.
That'll do. I need you to burn this cut on my face right now.
Oh!
And he's looking at you completely serious. Completely dead serious. He's looking at you, saying, "You need to light run this lighter across this scratch."
Do you have a knife? I'm asking as out of game, because if you do, I'm just gonna reach over and grab your knife.
No, that's a good question. I don't believe I have an edged weapon.
Okay. Yeah, lighter's probably not gonna do it itself. We need to actually.
I pull out my
cover that.
multi-tool. Pull out my multi-tool and hand it over. That's gonna work.
That'll work. I'll just heat it up with the lighter if it works, because I was in the water. And
Just do it. Just do it. You know why?
Yeah, but I mean, why did you have to shoot that guy like that? And just as I'm saying that,
You go silent. I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, just as you say that, what?
He was saying something and I cut out when he says, and then I didn't hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
He made a cool move with it, but I didn't know what he said.
Yeah? Can you hear us, Jason?
yeah,
You cut out there in the middle of your description.
I think my internet's a little wonky down here. You know, we've had a tornado and rain and zombies and all that stuff. Basically, what I was saying is I was going to distract him. I'm like, why did you have to shoot him like that so close to all of this? And just as he starts to look, I'm going to apply the hot knife to his cheek.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's have pow. Okay, James, you take 2 points of heat damage to the face. Looks like you got the wound sufficiently scabbed over and crusted there, Jason.
I mean, he'll definitely grimace because who's not gonna react to that. But then once you pull the knife away, he'll just be like, oh, yeah. All right. Thank you.
Cold, isn't it? And with that, I'll cool the knife off in the water and hand it back to Earl.
All right.
I take it back. I think the noise that Matthew actually made was like, oh, yeah.
Pretty much as exact
Oh.
verbatim. Hand it to water.
All right. Let's pan back to the eastern side of Carlsbad, back in Gunderson's Gas and Grocery, where we have just dispatched of Kate the zombie, and we are considering our next moves, which will be further complicated by the fact that Sam is very disturbed by even staying in this place where Kate turned, where Kate was killed. She's very in tune with energies and superstitions and the mystic arts, just like your character is, Dawn. And she believes that the protective energy of this place has basically been disrupted and it's cursed. We can't stay here. She's convinced that a horde of zombies is like imminently bound to this place based off of the energies that you guys have caused.
I'm going to use my smooth talking skill to try to calm her down.
She looks at you with a rolled eye and she says, "Don't try that bullshit on me, Paul. You practiced that shit on me. It doesn't work. We need to get the hell out of here."
Where do you suggest we go?
Any other building. It's not like the entire town has been destroyed and this is the only standing structure left.
You think it's just this building, not this area?
All right. Let's take a look out the windows to see if there's any zombies right outside of our area.
We didn't kill any zombies inside the other buildings. That's what's got the energy in here so out of whack. Roll some notice checks, perception checks from Derek and Paul.
I also have situational awareness.
Gotcha. Best you can both tell right now, the coast is as clear as you can expect. You can pretty much always expect that when you look outside, you're going to see some zombies somewhere. But at this particular point, you're looking at a distance of like 50, 60 feet are the closest of them. And of course, they're not imminently bound right to your location.
Is there any like fire axe or anything like that in here?
There is not.
Is this just a gas station or is it a gas station and garage?
It's a gas station, garage, and grocery.
All right, let's look in the garage to see what kind of tools they have. If anything could be like a sledgehammer or something.
Gotcha. In the garage, it looks like it's pretty much the more common tools. A lot of the one-handed hammers, screwdrivers. It looks like, just like in the structure itself, this place was cleared out pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, for all of our sakes, we got to keep our heads. We got to be able to keep calm, keep cool, keep collected, and if it's going to be impossible within this building, we're going to have to find another building because we need everybody at their top and we need everybody on their wits. Looking down the street, what kind of buildings are we looking at?
You've got a bit of an open stretch down both avenues. The closest buildings to your north, it looks like some assorted office buildings, a couple lawyers and what have you, buildings of that nature. And if you head further to the northeast, you have what appears to be an elementary school.
Schools have storm shelters.
It's
Especially
possible.
this time? No, yeah, this is Tornado Land. It might be a survival area at the school. So, all right, let's make our way there. So we'll remove the barricade. We'll take the car. We'll drive to the elementary school.
Just to float it. We could also just endurance all night to get to the ranch.
If we can find a way across that river, that sounds like the best option to me, because then we don't have to worry about trying to find a place between here and there.
What time of year is it? It's Christmas?
Yeah.
Okay. And how big is the river normally?
Maybe 100 feet across, 150 feet.
It's river size.
So it's a big river. I've seen a lot of baby rivers.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty substantial one. There's a lot of cliff on both sides areas of this river as well, so passable places are not as common as you would expect. And then to top that off, there's also the hurricane and the intense wind and rainstorm that came through here, which flooded not only the town, but the river is over flooded its usual levels as well.
And there used to be a bridge and it got destroyed.
Correct.
All right, we'll have to endurance drive it then. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Trying to set up and build up an area, and just for us to end up exhausted, we might as well just try driving it and getting to someplace where we have more people.
Well, what do we know about the state of this bridge? Like, is it destroyed to the point where a car can't get across it, but we can slowly scale our way across it?
You only caught a glimpse of it earlier this morning as you were on your way to get Justin's pickup truck. And from what you saw of it, it looks like the destruction is almost complete. Like there's just a tiny little abutment off of both sides of the river, and then the entire bridge in between is just gone.
That is a problem.
Something complete.
What's the distance across that bridge area? How far was that bridge before it was destroyed?
150 feet.
Yeah, I don't think we can throw anything across it. I was thinking if there was like ropes in this area, we could throw a rope across with, make a grappling hook out of some of the parts that are in here. But I don't think that would be too safe for.
As you're considering your options, your eidetic memory, and for his part, Derek's photographic memory as well, both kind of come into play, because you're thinking, well, obviously the easiest way to get across the river is going to be a bridge. It sucks that the bridge is taken out. What's the next closest bridge? And you think that Eric had told you something before you guys split ways as far as heading to a different town and taking a bridge there. But before you are fully able to recollect that, it occurs to you both that there are also train tracks that run pretty much alongside the town. And in certain areas, they have the train bridge that crosses the river. That's a bit further north in town from your position, so you can't see it from where you're at, and you definitely won't be able to take a vehicle across the train bridge, but that's probably a more sturdier constructed bridge, considering what it has to hold. And it's possible that if that bridge is still intact, you might be able to hoof it on foot to get across the river, and then maybe find a vehicle on the other side and make the rest of the journey.
Yeah, because I mean, I've got mechanics and stuff like that. Hot wiring a car or breaking into a car would be pretty easy.
It's possible.
I like this vision and all, but I just want to state now that I can see that the train is going to come while we're on the bridge over the water.
Somebody else watched Stand By Me last week, too.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I mean, what are the odds of the exact time that we decide to go across this bridge that a train will be coming during a zombie apocalypse? What,
Plot
driven by
device.
zombies?
Well, I'm setting up Agent Orange 3, which we're going to play next Halloween season, which is actually Train to Artesia. And your characters will be on that train, hauling ass at top speed with zombies that just transform at the blink of a dime.
All right, so that'll be our goal. Is we'll take the car up to the bridge. We'll run parallel to the tracks as far as we can go, and then we'll ditch the car and cross the bridge on foot.
All right, very cool. And actually, we will shift back to our other group now as Derek and Paul pile into the vehicle with Samantha, take what limited supplies they have, and they evacuate Gunderson's gas and grocery, intent on finding another safe path across the river. And back over to the north side of town, where our other group is still kind of trying to find their way across this flooded area. What are we looking at here, guys?
What do you think? Do you think we should go check on whoever's honking that horn?
There's no way to get across right now.
Yeah, it's
Walk
pretty
it.
risky. We have no way of safely getting across. I mean, we could try to forge through. Hope for the
Ah,
best.
shanty schmanty. I can walk that.
We had better luck on foot, yeah. I mean, I did okay getting in there. We all did okay getting in and out, says Pablo. Maybe we can at least get far enough away that we can see what we're looking at.
All right.
I can go. I can go check it out. You guys wait. You can come.
I'll tell you what. I'll post up at the top of the van, and I'll keep overwatch if you want to go, because I can't make that hike. But I'll watch as long as I can, but I can't see that vehicle that's making the noise. So if you want to go on foot, I'll watch as much as I can.
Matthew, you want to stay here with Eric, or do you want to go with Earl to investigate? I think we should do and two.
I agree, because if those guys come out, if they come out of that area where you guys were Earl, where they were stuck before, then we're in trouble. So
Time to split up further.
but at least Overwatch, if you see it's in trouble, then you're gonna come back.
So which way you going, Matthew? You going with Eric, or you going with Earl?
How confident are you that you could hold the position, Eric?
I'm fairly confident unless I get overrun. I'm pretty sure the zombies can't climb.
All right, we'll go check and then we'll come back.
All right, I got your back, Eric. So Pablo will
Good.
also
Good to know, Pablo.
he will also stand watch up atop the van. However, unlike some of our characters in this group, he does not have a weapon, so he's literally just providing an extra pair of eyes at this point. I want strength checks or athletics checks from Earl and Matthew as you're venturing into the floodwaters again.
I'll do that for sure. Can I, before we do that, can I hand him Pablo something.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna give him a baseball bat.
Okay. Not
Just,
till
yeah,
the fat lady sings.
Right. There's something that can help, I believe.
All right. He grips it with a look of determination on his face, gives you a nod, and prepares himself for what may come.
Swing for the fences.
Okay, strength check from Earl. How about from Matthew?
What climbing work?
Not in this instance. You're basically just trying to power through the waters. Okay. Well, you both make your way far enough in and still kind of at a cautious distance that as you're getting closer to the horn, you're not placing yourselves in a situation where you get there and it's like right there next to you. But as you finally round the corner of this first block, thankfully the street does not collapse under your personal weight. And up against the back side of these buildings, you see an RV that has been knocked onto its side. It seems like whoever is driving this thing tried to take it into the floodwaters and got caught up in a torrent, and this thing is now knocked on its side. Has kind of been pushed along the street to where it now rests up against a brick wall that is essentially kind of the back parking lot of one of these businesses that are nearby here. And from the way the water has been pushing at the RV into the wall, you can see that there's some obvious damage to the brick wall itself. It wasn't the sturdiest wall to begin with, and having an RV crash into it, continually buffeting up against the side of it, it looks like the wall is about to go, pushing the RV even further into who knows what, because even from your position, you can't see what's in this parking lot. It's just completely surrounded by brick walls.
Is there no other? There's like no zombies or anything around.
Not that you can see from this angle. You're kind of looking at the top of the RV from this angle, so you can't even see who's inside of it laying on the horn. The front of the vehicle is actually like kind of the farthest point of the vehicle from the way you guys are approaching it.
Is there a back window?
There is, yes. Not that you can't see anything through the back window, just from the drapes that are pulled across it.
I'll look over at Matthew. All right, tell me, I'm going in.
I got. Okay. Where?
I just start trudging towards the back window.
I'll go close to him.
Okay. Another pair of strength checks, please. Good enough. Gets you guys through the floodwaters, right up next to the RV. And as you get closer to it, you hear before you see the sounds of zombies on the other side of the RV. So basically the bottom of the RV, if you guys are approaching it from the top. You can hear what has to be multiple zombies kind of growling and scratching and clawing their way at the underside of this RV, and you can even hear some crying and screaming inside of the RV now that you guys are right up close to it. Sounds like some women crying in there and a woman's scream, at least two different. Possibly one of them is much younger.
Tell me we're leading him out.
What was that, James?
No, I would. I'm just telling you just to let them know who we are, so we can just start getting them out. Just moving.
But you said we can't see anything through that back window when we get up to it?
Exactly.
We're going to have to try and be a little quiet about this so we don't draw any of those things over here. I'm gonna knock on this window, see if somebody comes over to it. So I'll knock out like a shaving a haircut kind of knocks, so it's obvious that it's somebody knocking.
Gotcha. A young Hispanic boy opens the back drapes, and he just has a look of excitement and elation upon seeing you, and you can see enough now. He turns back. Looks like there's 3 other people in the RV with him. Looks like a mother, a sister, and a father who's actually all the way up in the front and is the one laying on the horn. And the 2 frantic people crying as awaiting their imminent end are the mother and daughter.
Como está mi amigo? Come to mi casa. He yells at the window.
There's a lot of shouting in both Mexican and English. Just please help, please help. Looks like it's a mixed family. Like father is white, mother is Mexican, and the kids are of course mixed. But they are all elated to see the 2 of you here at the backside. And the mother, after quickly drying her tears, just kind of points to the side of the vehicle that you guys suspect the zombies to be on, with kind of a look of alert, like, be careful, be careful. There's so much shouting over each other, you can't quite make out what's all being said, other than careful, help, and please.
Is this back window big enough for them to come out of, or no?
Yes.
But it doesn't open?
It does not open.
What about on the top portion?
The top does have one of those hatches that open.
Okay, that could be an option.
What do you think? Should we break the window or go to the top?
It's quiet. The top's a quieter option. They know we're here. If we start opening that, they should. I think they would put 2 and 2 together.
I think it open from the inside. So I'll point at it through the window, and then I'll start moving my way towards that hatch.
Yeah, and I'll move ahead just to cover down in the area where they could come from.
Gotcha. Notice checks from the pair of you, please. One from you as well, Jason. Huh. Ah. I was hoping all 3 of you had a natural 10 in you. Well, in Earl's case, it's the most fortunate thing, because as you're approaching the hatch, the water depth here is still deep enough to disguise a zombie that has been confined to crawling, it would appear, and it's positioned right where you're about to put your feet, but you see it from a good 10 feet out as you're approaching.
Is it coming towards me, or is it just laying there?
It's laying there. It does not appear aware of your presence at all. But if you get right up next to that hatch, it's probably going to alert it.
I'll look over at Matt and be like, hey, you got something to stab one of these bad boys with? 'Cause there's one laying on the ground over there.
No, the only thing I can think of is put the muzzle of my weapon against his chest, push it under the water, fire, and hopefully that will muffle the sound where it's bludgeoning it with the stock of the weapon, the shotgun. I had a bat to give to Pedro. I do have a 38, but that's still gonna make some sound. I can push him just underwater, maybe fire. The muzzle's underwater, so it might muffle it enough where we deal with it, and he doesn't alert anything.
The shouting and screaming inside the RV continues while you're discussing, and the wall starts to crumble a little bit further even. And it crumbles sufficiently that you guys can see that in the back parking lot of this place appears to be either another or possibly the source of where this water main was broken, because there's another sinkhole right there in the back parking lot. It looks like if this RV is pushed through the remains of this crumbling wall, it's probably going to, in some fashion, get pushed into the hole, just like you guys experienced with the pickup a little while ago.
Well, in the long run, we're a little bit faster. So even if the sun alerts them, we can pull them out through this hatch and get them running.
All right, well, I'm just gonna run over there and pin that son of a bitch to the ground. You get them out of that RV, okay? Here we go.
All right.
Let's go over.
Let's roll a brawling and let's roll a strength check from Matthew. Brawling is from Earl. Okay. Well, Earl gets this thing pinned down in the water, and it's instantly like trying to thrash with its teeth and its claws at whatever it can get. So there's, of course, the constant struggle of grapple, trying to reposition yourself and what have you. And Matthew tugs on the hatch, and it does not open. It's definitely stuck, it seems, from how the RV kind of crashed down. It like warped the metal or whatever around the hatch. Just enough for it to kind of get stuck. It can probably open. You can feel there's a little give to it, but you did not roll high enough. So give it another try there, James. And same thing from you, Justin. Over in Eric's neck of the woods, Pablo also can back up your notice check there. Seems like everything is clear right here, right now. There's some zombies wandering around, but they're not imminently coming right at us.
Copy that.
Okay, this time, let's see what the LD can do. Okay, scratch across Earl's jacket that leaves a gash in the leather, but hey, baby. Earl gets scratched, and he does not like it. And he's rooting for you there, J-Man. Thankfully, your leather jacket is sufficient to deflect any damage from coming into contact with you, and the bite attack misses entirely. Matthew gets the hatch open, and in no time at all, mother, daughter, son, and father are evacuated from this hatch. And of course, in dramatic fashion, no sooner do you guys get them out of there and safely away from the flooded area, then the RV crashes through the remains of the brick wall and, sure enough, falls halfway into the sinkhole that's in the parking lot side.
Move them quickly and quietly out of that area where there's, still zombies around.
All right. Lots of appreciation and gratitude is thrown your ways from all four members of the family. Hands shaken, hugs offered, kisses on the cheeks. They're just very, very thankful to be alive. They did not see this being the case. They certainly never thought anybody was going to come help them. So as they make their way back to the van and the relative safety of the drier section of the street, we will reconvene there and actually take our break at this point here, 10-15 minute break. So we'll come back at 7:55, 8 o'clock, somewhere in that neck of the woods. So thanks for joining us so far, everybody. Hope you're having a good time, and we will catch you shortly.
into the city with a suitcase in my hand, looking for a better deal. I'm trying to find myself a plan, roaming around the streets, filling up some useless time. And if I'd seen her then and there, I would have asked her to be mine. Ooh, something to talk about. Ooh, someone to dream about. I'm going home alone with only trouble on my mind. I've roamed the streets 1,000 times, but a girl is hard to find. I've learned my lesson oh so well. There's only one thing I have found. When nothing else remains to do, you should just stick to your own kind. Ooh, something to talk about. Ooh, someone to dream about. Ooh, something to talk about. Ooh, someone to dream about. Oh, waiting. Oh, waiting. Oh,
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being here for the second half of Agent Orange Across the Pecos, Part 4, Part Quattro. What's going on, everybody? You've got the ointment in your eyes. You can't see shit. I washed it out. Didn't you ever think of that? It meant a lot of
Ice.
ice.
All right then. So now that we're entering the most perilous point of the campaign, Buff is going to redeem the tragically HP voice change to Sebastian for the next 5 minutes. So, alright then. I guess that's what we're doing. So, we're going to pick it back up with the group of Derek and Paul as they're getting in the car and they're starting to head to a different side of town where they can hopefully take the train tracks across the bridge, across the Pecos, and thus fulfilling the name of the campaign, because that's important. You know, you gotta do that. Alright, so any RP in the car while we're cruising around the somewhat drier side of town, or do you want me to just kind of accelerate us to that point?
Let's accelerate this point. I know that it's going to be more of calming Sam down. Actually, she seems pretty level-headed now that we've moved on from that place. So most of it is just going to be riding in mostly silence as we contemplate what we just did.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Murtaugh?
Yeah, I don't have anything specific in mind. You know, just trying to get to safety.
Gotcha. It is definitely a desolate landscape that you are traversing, even somewhat confined in the safety of your car. You just see the occasional signs of life, like a house that has like 30 zombies in the front yard, scratching and clawing at the door, and then as you're driving past, one of them breaks through the window, and you hear screams on the inside of the house. Or somewhere else where you see two cars flying in a perpendicular direction to your travels, and people in both cars is shooting at each other. So it's a very eye-opening experience that you're experiencing here, just passing through Carlsbad, and it's doubly concerning considering how quick everything went down. Like, you're only now coming to realize that this must have been in progress on a smaller scale over the last number of days for it to be at this level right now. But only the fact that you guys was at that concert all weekend kind of numbed you to what was going on in the world around you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, the whole place is effed.
It pretty much looked like it. Like, you don't see anybody else just driving along normally like you is right now.
Well, where are the train tracks at?
Alright. Well, you are taking the occasional side street and back alley to make your passage a little easier. The floodwaters have largely receded from this side of town, and it's kind of more concentrated on like the northwest and north central side of town. But there's still a lot of wreckage and refuse left from last night, and down power lines and stuff like that. So you gotta still kind of cut and choose your path. On one occasion, you guys actually have to get out of the vehicle and move some light debris, like a pile of trash cans and a bunch of sewer gunk that kind of got piled up at the exit of one alley, because it's the only way that you guys could go. So it takes a good while just to make your way maybe like 3 miles across the city.
And it's at that point that the Sebastian voice redeem ends, and I go back to normal narrative mode. And you make your way to pretty much the far northeastern point of town. You are welcome. The far northeastern point, which is kind of an isolated neighborhood. It doesn't have streets that connect with the train tracks themselves. The train actually kind of runs maybe 100 yards or so off of the nearest neighborhoods. So there is a bit of a hike just to get to the train tracks, but you can see now at this point in town, there's the bridge, it's crossing the river, it looks like it's intact. There's no train that kind of stalled out on the bridge, so it looks like your path is clear. And for the first time, possibly since all this started going down, you guys have a glimmer of hope that just across the Pecos, you guys might find some hope.
Home is just around that mountain. We should be there by sunrise.
I should hope so.
Samantha actually breaks out in like kind of a skip run, and Paul is seeing a bit of her pre-apocalypse self kind of emerging here, just how carefree and innocent she's always kind of remained, how naive she is to a lot of the ways of the world, how focused she is on spirits and energies and things of that nature, and not so much on the daily humdrum of life like so many others are. And she's just kind of demonstrating that with this little happy skip as she's making her way across this field towards the train tracks.
I'm going to do the card reading before.
We're losing you there on the audio there, Don, but I heard card
Oh.
reading.
I'm going to do a quick tarot reading before we go.
A quick tarot before we go. Gotcha.
A quick tarot card reading.
Oh man, I was hoping it would break up at some other point so we could just go back and forth with this. All right. Go ahead and roll just a straight D10. Let's see where the fates lie today.
A 2.
The 3 cards that you draw at this particular instance are basically leading you to a combination of being perceptive, being understanding, being forgiving, and letting things go. And the letting things go part of it, you almost kind of feel is like a passage of life thing, not so much like issues between people or letting the ways of the old world go. This seems like almost very specific to somebody's going to die and you're going to have to find it in yourself to let it go.
Uh-oh. Poor Derek.
Why is he sitting down there in the grass with cards? What's he doing?
It just looks like weird,
Okay.
hokey religious nonsense.
I'm gonna grab the cards, put them back into their pouch, and okay, we can go.
From his perch atop the van, Eric and not necessarily Pablo from this angle, but Eric sees a figure enter his perspective like at a pretty far distance, like 100 yards, something like that. All the way down the street, still on the dry side of the town. And all you can see at this distance is kind of like a brownish green grassy field, and what looks like a girl in a white dress kind of skipping her way through that area. And you just kind of watch it with a look of confusion and almost tranquility for a second as it kind of seems to take you out of the hellish landscape that's around you. And then as you're starting to process it, you see two familiar people enter the scene behind her, and that, of course, being Derek and Paul, who, of course, are not looking in your direction at this point. It looks like they're kind of following her in a direction that's actually taking them further away from you.
Copy that. Hey, Pablo, you see that?
He turns and takes a look, and yeah, that's wow, that's the other guys, right? Where's Kate?
I don't know. Let's make sure that nobody else is following them either. Let's kind of keep an eye on both directions.
It looks like the window that you have on their position is a pretty small one, like they're going to go behind some hills and some trees here in the next like 10 seconds. So you're going to lose sight of them here very quickly.
It's fine. Just I got to keep an eye on there, make sure no living dead start following them and they're not aware of it.
Gotcha. Okay. And at this point, Matthew and Earl and the family of 4 have made their way back to the van. And just in the short 30 seconds or so, since you guys have gotten out of the flood on your way to the van, the father and the mother both tell you that they've also heard the radio message from Lovington. And that was in fact where they were headed. But because the bridge is out here in Carlsbad, they were going to try their luck getting to Artesia and take the bridge there. Hopefully the bridge is still intact there, and then take the longer path to Lovington. But of course you see the results of what happened with that. They got caught in the flood, their RV got overturned, and is now stuck in a sinkhole that is flooded. So, as your group unifies completely, they're basically asking...
I'm looking at the family like...
As your group unifies, the family is basically asking, so what are your plans? Have you heard that radio message? Are you going that way? Can you give us a ride? Thank you so much for helping. Oh, you've got other people here? Who are you?
Oh, thank God, more red shirts.
With that, I'll kind of gently hop down off the top of the van and probably going to collapse from not being able to keep myself up from the leg. But how many do we have now? It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's some crazy shit, man. They were in an RV. RV was all tipped over and then they fall on a sinkhole. Zombies were trying to get at them. We had to pull them through the roof. It was crazy, man.
Yeah, I use my
What's going on? Whoever designed the sewer system in this town doesn't know what the hell they're doing. This place is collapsing. I wonder if it has anything to do with the caverns.
Sorry, I did the best I could. I'm not an architect. Well, let's have our 2 super perceptive characters, just as you're about to exit your window of what's going on to your left. You guys just kind of happenstantially take a glance over in that direction. And you think, yeah, I mean, there's not really any mistaking it. Matthew's van kind of stands out in any group of cars. And you see Matthew's van 100 yards or so distant, and you think that's Eric and Pablo standing on top of it. Meanwhile, you've got Sam kind of skipping in the other direction, further away from that. Did Don freeze, or is he just super still? Oh, nope, he's there.
Nope. I'm fine.
Well, feel free to proceed with any RP that you guys have going on over there, Justin, James, and Jason.
Um,
Well, I'll look to Eric when the family talks about going to Lovington and stuff. Let's kind of look at him like, where do you want to go?
Yeah, we're gonna head to Lovington. We were actually just getting ready to catch up to the rest of our group when we heard the horn.
Well, we change our mind then, or what?
are we going to take every person that we find that happens to be trying to get to safety? Like, we're trying to get you back there, but at some point, the van's going to get full. 2 or 3 people is one thing, but are we going to get 10, 15, 100 people we're going to probably run into? And we're all going to take them to your military base? And they will probably...
He's talking about Lovington, your father's place, man. What the hell are you talking about?
That's right. I'm a little delirious from shooting multiple, what used to be people in the face.
Not from having the hot knife pressed up against his cheek.
That's life.
Well, snap out of it, man. We gotta figure this out. Eric, are we not going to Roswell now, or what?
No, there's been a change of plans. And with that, I hand him back the rifle. Here, you're gonna need this.
What's the plan?
How many can you fit in the van right now?
That is a good question. I'll do an estimate that it's 10 people probably can jam in there.
Hi.
Mr. Orange could probably clarify that.
So that's, let's see, 7 people. All right.
Plus the stuff.
Make sure you pick up as many as you can. Save as many as you can.
Okay, you're talking weird. Like, what is your objective here?
Yeah, there's been a change of plans. I think I'm gonna stay here.
Are you concussed?
No, just going through what we have in the last hour or so, seeing this family here. The message, everything keeps saying, go to Lovington. I want you guys to go to Lovington. I'm going to stay here.
And do what?
Got to get back over to that grocery store and see if I can fix a radio or something up for them. They're going to need communication.
Okay, then after.
I don't know. I'll figure that out. Right now, I know I can't move worth a crap. This wound on my leg is just awful. I'm not able to move. I'm a hindrance to everybody. Now, every time somebody goes off, yeah, it's just not going to work. I'll stay at the grocery store, I'll heal up best I can, and then I'll make my way.
Wait, clearly
right now, the best
you're definitely
the
shocked
best
right
way
now,
for yeah, there's probably infection setting in too, especially after being in all that sewer water. Best thing for me to do right now is to rest up and heal best I can.
And I guess we could do that at Lovington, just like we could do that here, right?
Yeah.
Not if I'm up moving.
Well,
You're gonna be in a van, dummy.
Yeah, we've gone all of what, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and already we've been in and out of vehicles. Just, I'm gonna stay here and rest, so I don't have to be on my feet all the time.
Okay, Earl, clearly he's in shock, so this is what we should do. So we'll get Soldier Boy in a litter, and then these nice people we just helped sure won't mind carrying it. Give him to Lovington, give him treatment. He'll become more aware, and we could probably talk on the radio that my father had. If he wants to modify that, maybe that would work.
Besides the fact that I'm pretty sure the people in the supermarket there, the only real like medical person they had is our friend who left.
Well, we know where they're going, right? I assume we know where they're going. So we go there.
I think we're going to Lovington. We were going to go to Roswell because you wanted to go to Roswell to get to the missile silos and see what is going on there.
Speaking of which, the other two guys who are looking at this from a far distance, we continuing after Sam, or what are we doing?
Yep, we're continuing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know that other people are watching us, right?
Correct.
So, onward.
Yep. Onward out across that bridge.
Somebody saw a different tarot reading than I did. All right, proceeding on to the bridge.
I'm just, yeah, I'm letting the past go and everything like that, but also, even with the tarot reading, it's following Sam is the most important part at this time.
All right. Well, your journey is certainly a bit more expeditious, reaching the train tracks, and a short distance later, the train bridge itself. You do not hear any imminent train coming in your direction. You're guessing probably 15 minutes tops is what it'll take you to cross this thing, so that's your danger zone peak right there.
Danger zone.
Okay, I'm gonna have Samantha right behind me, and I'll take the lead on that.
Very cool. Yeah, and if there's if there's no RP during this segment here, we'll try to swap back to the other group here as quickly as we can, and see if any progress will happen on that front as far as getting the groups possibly back together, because you've had elements of each side see each other, but nobody wants to make contact.
Well, Eric saw him. I didn't see him.
Oh, for sure. That's why I said, I mean, you had elements of each side.
I hadn't quite gotten to that yet. Everybody's trying to convince me to stay. It's all right, look. So, just saw the other group. They seem to be one down already. I'm not really sure what happened. Whether somebody changed their mind or somebody got eaten. But looks like Kate's not with them. But they were all on foot headed that way. They were about, 100 meters across over there, not too far away. They're about 2 minutes ahead. If you guys drive that way, you'll catch them real quick. I'm not sure where they're going, but they're not in their car anymore, so go catch them, and we'll see what we can do from there.
Do you have a fever? I think we've already talked about what we can do. Or we can just pile in the van and go chase them down or follow them.
Then
100
let's
meters.
go. Let's
Agreed.
go.
Let's go. Exactly. So here, offers you a hand, get you up, or if you're standing, just give you support. I'm gonna lead him to the van.
With that, he'll get in. He'll take the passenger seat in the van. It'll be easier on the leg.
I'll help him get secured. Give him a popcorn ball that I had in there. Here, eat that. Enjoy that. And I'll get a driver's seat.
Has that been in your pocket?
Well, then, how does that change things for our groups as Team Paul and Derek are approaching the bridge, and they're starting to climb up to it, and you guys now in James's van, or Matthew's van, it's a bit better suited for off-road travel, so you guys actually driving this distance across the field is not a problem at all. So you guys are basically able to drive up right to the base of the bridge and kind of looking up at them from distance of 70, 80 feet. And of course, those of you who are climbing up to the bridge can hear them coming from a good distance out, so you need not even necessarily make it all the way up there before they do.
Hey,
And we recognize the car.
Oh yeah.
hey, they're back. That must have
Well,
been a short
that's-
trip.
Yeah, that's interesting. Serendipitous.
I'll kind of lean
All right,
out.
let's wait
the
here for them
van
to arrive.
Yeah, I'll lean out the door, the driver's side window, kind of wave at whoever is closest, and kind of motion them to come to us. I am not beeping. I'm not yelling. I'm just motioning for them.
Oh, all right.
We're gonna stop and wait for them to catch up.
Yeah. By all means,
Hey.
feel free to reunite.
I thought you guys were on your way to the missile silo.
Yeah, we found this family and there's been a change of plans. They got kids. That's more priority than me right now.
So splitting up our group was not important, but now that there are kids involved, it became important.
Hey, Poindexter, where's Kate?
Kate had a run-in with one of the zombies. We tried to everything that we could to save her, but it just wasn't enough.
What happened?
She turned into a zombie, and we had to take care of her.
How did she? What? She just spontaneously turned into a zombie? What happened?
No, she was attacked when we were at this gas station. We tried to save her by removing her leg where the infection was, but that just didn't help.
And I'm sure you gotta burn it like this, and you point burn mark on my face.
We
Do
have
that
a
before-
doctor with us.
What is this burn wound?
Oh, so Earl put a red hot knife on my face because I got scratched by a zombie. I'm fine now.
How does it look to me?
Gnarly is all get out, but you don't see any sign of infection on the thing. I mean, it looks like they treated it as crudely as possible.
All right.
Guess
And-
it depends on how long it's been since it happened, too, because, of course, there's that 90-minute window before things kind of manifest.
And did you get attacked by a zombie too? Your leg is horrible.
You mean the bullet wound you saw him take?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, they found some pretty good reefer at the gas station, so you know how they spent their hours.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
Oh, man, they totally went the wrong way, bro. Woo!
I just want to give everyone a general looking over, just a very surface level.
Okay. Well, I mean, Matthew got shot through the hand.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's not.
Alright. We could treat that. That sounds like something that needs treating.
Earl smells and looks like he's been in a sewer, and he has.
That's Earl.
His clothes likewise look like they've been scratched and clawed at numerous times, but he otherwise seems okay, aside from the earlier gunshot through the forearm.
Or the hand.
How's the family look?
They all look pretty good. I mean, they had the RV to spend the night in last night, so they weren't necessarily trapped up in anything horrendous. They kind of had an easier go of it up until they got caught in the flood.
Well, the bridge is out in town. this was the only avenue, well, the best avenue that we could think of to get across. And we were going to try to find ourselves a new vehicle after we crossed the bridge.
As you're continuing to check, go ahead.
How does the bridge look?
Looks
As he meant. Did I look at the eye or?
Oh, well, you kind of cut out there a little bit, but I think the general gist is you're checking over the bridge. It looks pretty sturdy. It looks like it's still intact, and the downside is, yeah, you would have to forfeit a vehicle on this side of the river because you can't take the vehicle up to the bridge, and it won't fit going across it.
Unless we remove the tires and use the rims on the tracks. That would also damage the vehicle a lot, but it would get us across.
You'd also have
there's
to.
plenty of other vehicles around. We could go pull the wheels off of a couple other vehicles that'll fit this thing, cut the tires off of that, save the tires that are on this, and just swap out the wheels till they get across.
You need actually special wheels for that. Just being on your rims won't really do it.
It worked in James Bond.
It always worked in James Bond.
Charles Bronson always had a rope.
You mean Pierce Brosnan?
No, Charlie Bronson.
Oh.
Death Wish, Great Escape.
Oh, goodness.
So how about? I really think we should try to keep it, but if we can't, then we got to take everything out and carry it over.
We can always just try to go up towards our teacher.
I didn't understand a word you said.
No, our teacher.
Yeah. Well, no, we're gonna take the bridge over here because it's closer, and there's already an established community over there.
Okay, so I'll look across the river right here where this railroad bridge is at and see if there's any cars within view.
You don't see any cars within view. The town does not extend to the other side of the river, so it's pretty much like instant wilderness over there. But you do see a good deal farther south again where the bridge, the other bridge that's been destroyed, connects, and you can at least see where the road would continue. And potentially somewhere along that route you could find something.
So I look and I just kind of go, well, I don't see any fucking cars from here. So what car are you planning to take when you get across?
Something American made. We don't want to trust any of that foreign stuff. We want to keep American made stuff.
No,
Ford,
whatever
Chevy.
happens to be available. Whatever happens to be available.
Or we could take this car north to Artesia and cross there.
I like that plan.
Only problem with that is getting across that sewer issue.
We go far enough outside town, we get around it.
I guess that'll work. You head west to go north.
We'll have a vehicle the entire time, and at least some type of protection from anything, immediately outside the vehicle. Instead of just walking around, we're completely exposed. We just have something. It'll be a little bit longer, but we'll still get there. What about you, Doctor?
I have no concept of the directions you're discussing.
Well, okay, I mean, that's cool, but what about my hand?
Unless you're kind of going for a stigmata look, couldn't remember the word. I want to treat that, but should that be a first aid or a medicine check?
Yeah, medicine check for him, and to continue your glance of the rest of the group, Damn. The rest of the NPCs look fine. They look fine enough. And from what you can tell from Eric, it looks like he's already changed the bandage on his leg wound. And likewise, just like Earl, he looks and smells like he has been in the sewer. So, some possible concerns in that respect.
Doctor's orders: take a bath as soon as possible. Your skin is crawling with bacteria.
I mean, I normally smell like this, to be honest.
Check that.
But
All
yeah,
right, so what does everybody want to do? Do you want to try and swap wheels on the van to get it across the railroad tracks?
I'm more leaning towards Earl's plan. It'll take more time, but we'll have the vehicle at least to work with, get across, and we can make up time that way.
All right, so what are we doing? Tell me what we need to do.
Let's just go and try Earl's plan.
Yep, sounds like we're just going to drive hopefully a longer distance and find some clear off-road that we can take around all of the sewage nonsense, because that is conveniently located at the only northern exit from the small town. So regardless of how you approach any of the surface streets, you're going to have to go through that flooded sewage area. But if we're going to try to go outside of the paved roads and see what we can find in that respect, it will take some time, but you are able to find, as Jason said, west to go north. You basically have to take it far enough outside of Carlsbad, going in a completely different direction, before you're able to find some passable terrain that'll let you go north, and then eventually cut back east so that you can connect with the highway on the way to Lake Brantley, which I think back then was Lake McMillan. Actually, I think we discovered when we were playing it the first time around. And past that, another half hour or so, the path continues clear into Artesia. And I guess with that being the case, yeah, I guess the revelation was going to happen one way or another, just with the passage of time. However, Eric, you are rather surprised at the fact that it's been over an hour since the pickup collapsed in the flooded pit. And you're, aside from the fact that you can't really feel your leg at all, you don't really feel too bad at all.
Okay, with that, I'll just make sure the bandage isn't too tight and still clean. Squeeze any pus or anything out of it that I can, because I know I'm covered in the sewage, so I'm trying to stay as clean as I can.
For sure, for sure. All right. And as we arrive into the town of Artesia, we find a situation possibly even more dire than we found in Carlsbad. On the one hand, it does not look like a tornado landed here at all. So the streets are still clear. There was not a rock concert that packed thousands of people larger than the town was meant to hold. So the streets are rather clear. The big issue is that it seems that in however much time has passed since the zombie outbreak occurred here in Artesia, it looks like literally the entire population of the town has been turned and are just wandering the streets. And of course, the one road that is leading you in to the town, you can see this town is small enough and even smaller than Carlsbad at this point in time. You can see the exit that you guys are trying to take, and you can see that the bridge is in fact intact. So if you can make it through what looks to be 1,000 or so zombies, you can pretty much make it through Artesia without a scratch. But just pulling in, you guys kind of instantly halt like 50 yards plus away from the first street in Artesia, because you guys can just see this massive movement across your landscape here in front of you. And due to the way the town is kind of built and the way the cliffs kind of fall off on the eastern side as it's approaching the river, it looks like if you want to try your previous plan of let's just go around the town to connect back with the street, it doesn't look like you're going to have a direct way to do that going east. It's going to be another west, north, east situation.
I point through the windshield at some woman wearing a Sunday dress for church or something. I said, if you hit that one, you get an extra 10 points.
Yeah, the dark humor really doesn't work at this particular moment.
Womp womp.
I think he's in shock still.
I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
I think you're in shock still.
Either way, we got to get through the town. Do you want to just go through it?
Are there any cars out here where we're at?
There are some vehicles that are parked along the side of the road. They're just rather close to way too many zombies.
Was there anything that we passed on the way in?
There was not. There were some ranches alongside the road that you guys passed, or at least signs that seemed to indicate that there were some buried further off the road. But you guys didn't stop there, nor did you see any vehicles on that route.
I had a question. Do we see any horses or cattle in the ranches on our way here?
You would have, yes.
Did they look like they were zombified or normal?
Normal.
At least the cows and horses look fine. So what do you want to do?
I was hoping if we could get like another car, we could rig it up to drive off in a direction we're not going, or maybe draw them away. Some sort of distraction. Other than that, I'm not sure.
There's a Chevy dealership right at the main street in 380 here.
We have to get through most of them to get there.
Drive fast enough. Careful enough. We probably should get through without jamming us up.
Yeah, I don't think we want to accidentally run into a bunch of these creatures, because I don't know how many it would take, but you know, the physics of it is driving over people eventually will get us stuck.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If I can the serpentine through it, but that or we hit the edge of whatever, you know.
Well, one thing's for sure. Go ahead, sorry.
If I had my goddamn motorcycle, I could ride circles around this motherfucker, draw them away.
Right. Well, I mean, can we still do that with the car? Can we, I don't know, put a brick on the pedal?
I was saying, but there's no cars to grab unless we get closer.
What about the car that we're in?
It's precious to me. I would prefer not to lose it if at all possible, unless it's our sole vehicle that we know it actually for sure works.
All right, I'm just putting ideas on the table. I mean, versus drive into them, which I think is certain suicide.
I mean, we could just scout ahead, see if we find a vehicle with keys in it, then we can do the same plan, just not with this big van.
I'm all for trying to get one of the vehicles that's closer in. It's just going to be a bit more risky like that.
I'm sure we could probably find something, maybe a police vehicle ambulance, something that will more than likely have the vehicles, the keys with it, and we can identify, even if it's one of the undead, identify that that's a cop, that's a firefighter, that's a paramedic. We know that they're probably gonna have keys that we can access to their vehicle.
Also, most police cars have shotguns and such in them.
Right.
Well, they do in all the Grand Theft Auto games. If you take a police car, you get 10 rounds of a shotgun.
I think we get a little ahead of ourselves. We just need to get a car, any car, that we can use as a distraction. Talking about cops and firefighters and keys, we don't need none of that. We can hotwire that goddamn car, break on the fucking pedal, and have it go that way, so we can go the other way.
You're getting a little excited. Okay, getting a little excited there. I know it's very chaotic. Yeah, we can find a vehicle. So scout ahead, find one, initiate.
Tell you what, get me to the dealership. I'll hotwire us up some truck or something, and we'll use that as a distraction.
Well, if you can do that, we can just find a car that's right here. Right?
If there's one here, we're still on the outskirts of town, if I'm understanding that correct.
Correct. See, we haven't gone into the town itself yet because we can see that the only road that's accessing the town is just littered with thousands of zombies. Literally thousands. So, progressing into town itself will be impossible unless you guys choose to do so on foot, because the pathways that you have accessible to you are only accessible on foot. And that's kind of like climbing up some hills, taking some back roads, and getting into the town that way, to where hopefully you're able to access a section behind all these zombies. Hopefully not every street of Artesia is just packed with zombies. That's probably not the case. But accessing any of the vehicles that you could see here on the first streets, like if you're coming up to a four-way intersection, not only are the streets packed with zombies, but then imagine that any of the vehicles you can see parked along the sides of the streets are also surrounded by zombies.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or some of those vehicles could have zombies inside that didn't make it out of the vehicle before they turned.
That is a wild assumption.
I don't think everybody in town just happened to be walking around at the instant whatever this is happened. I mean, there are probably people that were doing all sorts of just regular household things, having dinner, watching some TV, taking a drive, and if they're infected, they might be infected in the vehicle that they're in. And a lot of them haven't shown a lot of intelligence to use the machine. So the vehicle would have stopped. They would be stuck inside because they really don't know how to open doors.
That's good point you make. That's why the communists made this thing, to get us in our everyday life.
So looking at what we can see of the town environment from our location, would we be able to kind of drive around the town, even though we can't access the bridge doing that, but to try and maybe draw them in a certain direction, and then we could double back and go through?
It's possible. The pathways are pretty narrow to access off-road, so there is a possibility that you would draw too many of them and be unable to come back the way you came because it would be congested with zombies. But it is possible as well you could just take the long way around the town entirely off-road and connect back with the bridge at the furthest possible point. You can't tell that from where you're at right here because you can't see all the way around the town, but it's possible.
You know, if we take some of the oil field roads, we might even come across another oil field vehicle. They always got lots of extra fuel on board anyways because they're driving out in the middle of nowhere. We might be able to pick up one of those trucks on our way out and make our way around the town.
All right, that sounds reasonable. Yeah, let's just go around the place.
Sounds like the best plan we
Well,
got.
if we're going to go around, and we should figure out if we're going to try to draw them this way, or go up the other side and try to draw them that way, so we can go around them when they leave.
Let's stay on the west side because the refinery is over there on the east.
Can I say something crazy?
Like you don't usually.
Good point. Good point. But we said refinery, right?
Yeah, there's a refinery here.
So, hypothetically, you light one on fire. Makes a big fire. Draws a lot of attention, right?
We don't know if they'll be drawn to the fire.
Well, we won't know if we don't do it. If we do it, could draw them. Either way, if it doesn't, okay, nothing changes with the plan. But at least if it draws it out here, one, they'll walk to it. Maybe they'll light on fire, maybe they don't. But it's still just, I would think it would probably draw their attention. Something different. Something well lit.
Just so we're clear on the directions, though, it would change things in that respect because we would essentially be drawing more of them towards where we're hoping to go.
Okay, I thought it was like on one complete different. It was like essentially we're going through this area to get to wherever.
Yeah, let's try avoiding drawing anything towards us as we make our way around the outside of town.
Well, we have to draw them somewhere. We can't go through town to the bridge if they're still there. So we got to either draw them this way and go around the other side and go in that way. Or go around the other side, draw them that way, then come back here, and go that way.
Well, it sounds like a moot point in either regard because the plan is essentially the same. It's just a matter of directionally where are we trying to draw them to. And
Right.
so long as we're agreed that we're trying to just kind of draw them away temporarily so that we can access a different section of the town, that's pretty much just a matter of chance. There's not really a skill or anything for it. You guys can do the best that you can as far as making noise and trying to set off other cars, sirens on vehicles as you're passing them, to make a long story short. A lot of it just comes down to a basic die 10 roll, though, so let's see the results of that from each of you. Okay. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, wife.
Other side
You're
to
the
the
best.
slash to the R.
You're the best. Yes.
Oh boy, oh boy. Eesh. Oh man.
On second thought, keep trying to roll it the way you were rolling it before.
You want to know the funny thing is? A little less conversation just came up in my headphones.
Well, for the most part, you guys did roll higher than my 2 rolls, and that's the mechanic we were going for in this respect. So fortunately, you are able to find enough passable areas of terrain that don't flatten the tires, rip any of the lines underneath the vehicle, or cause any other irreparable or temporarily paralyzing damage to the vehicle. Additionally, you are able to draw enough of them away, although not necessarily in any respect that you guys planned. It's just kind of a happenstantial thing that enough of them have just kind of shambled away to a different area of town that by the time you guys make your way all the way around to the bridge, there's not really any of them in your way anymore. So it's basically just a simple matter of, all right, we're back on the street and we can access the bridge, and here we go, we're off to the races. And from there, it is a very clear path from Artesia towards Levington. We do pass a couple of smaller communities that are basically not much of anything there. And that remains the case even at this point in the apocalypse. There's no sign of people wandering around. There's no sign of zombies everywhere. They're literally kind of like the pass community that you take if you're going from Vegas into Pahrump, and there's that small collection of towns up there at the very top of the pass before you start going back down. These kinds of communities.
Yeah, the only thing between there is Maljamar. And Maljamar is like an Allsup's, a school, and a couple of like city buildings, and that's it.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like a horrible candy name.
Yeah, not very appetizing for sure. I wouldn't want to eat one.
Looks
it,
like we
it
are
does
in the
have
clear.
railroad tracks, so there's that.
Well,
Wow.
ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are in the clear. Nothing can possibly go wrong.
Perfect time to say that, I should add. I'm glad I took that pause between the narrative right there. As we approach the community of Lovington, which, like most areas in New Mexico and the world itself, is just a much smaller version of itself at this point in 1972. And here we have only a small collection of ranches, not really even a town proper, aside from a general store and a hardware store and a couple other essentials. Most people go to like Artesia or Roswell actually for like larger grocery runs at this point in time. Or they're living off of hunting and fishing and things of that nature out here on the ranch. So there aren't really a lot of Star Wars LARP decorations here at the ranches. No, Hans. No, we're not seeing a whole lot of that right here at this point in time. Carl will not be making an appearance in this campaign, unfortunately. And as you make your way down a few winding roads into Lovington, going through some thicker trees and some greener areas, you guys can clearly hear the reports of gunfire coming from the thicker collection of ranches down at the bottom of the hill that you guys are heading towards. You guys maybe have another half mile to go. It's just some kind of treacherous winding road to get to it.
Sounds like trouble.
I should drive.
Yes! I agree. Pull over. Let him in.
Well, it's not alternative, so it should be fine.
Come on, the guy doesn't ask to do much. Just let him do this. I don't hear anybody saying no. So, okay, John, let's get a drive.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't say no. I'm cuddling with Samantha anyway, so.
Oh, that's what you guys call it.
Well, not in a car full of
Canoodling?
Canoodling. Oh boy. Derek Rodriguez rolling 1d1. And thankfully we are playing alternity rules, so a natural 1 is the best possible result as Derek just decides, fuck this switchback trail shit. I'm gonna Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando this shit right down the side of the mountain and actually finds the best possible way to do it without popping a tire, without breaking anything on the engine. All the axles are still intact and greased up fine by the time you make it to the bottom of the hill. Okay, done with the silliness. You guys do make it down the switchback trail into the Lovington Ranch community itself. And the site is a disturbing one. It's another pause outside the gates, almost like you guys just encountered in Artesia, with a very similar theme before you. In a much more compacted area, because you guys have kind of come down into this bowl-shaped area of the valley. The zombies that are here, probably not as many as you saw in Artesia, but because it's so confined, it almost looks like there's more of them. And you're not sure how they got here. When they got here, there was no mayday over the radio that you guys heard during your path to come here. But they have been here a sufficient amount of time that what resistance there was here in the ranches is down to maybe 3 or 4 people at best, because you don't hear a lot of gunfire. You just hear a small handful of people resisting this. You don't see anybody out here. Anybody that's still alive is likely inside of a home trying to defend it as best they can. Every one of the buildings either has broken windows and doors and zombies are freely coming in and out of the building, or there are a few buildings, of course, through the thickest parts of the herd, all the way across the town from you guys, if you even want to call it that. And those are completely surrounded by zombies. You're basically looking at just, well, shit. This is like the worst possible thing that could happen here.
Is this your dad's place?
Is it?
Oh, it definitely is. Yep, that's your dad's house right over there. One of the houses where the door has been ripped off of its hinges and zombies are just kind of freely coming in and out. And in fact, one of them that walks out of the house is the zombified James Kimball.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on the radio. See if anybody's talking.
Nobody's going to answer. You have a grim look, and
I'll turn on the radio.
That one zombie. It's like, yep, that's.
Give a radio
looks,
check.
Yep, that looks like my father right over there. To be honest.
Nobody responds on the radio. It is just dead static. And perhaps it was the adrenaline of getting to this point, or some combination of having already been shot in the leg. You're not sure what it is there, Jason. But almost like as a rush of adrenaline, you feel the rush of the zombie virus just kind of flood through your system, and you're feeling just very, very ill and weak at this point.
I'm not getting anything on the radio. And with that, I'm going to roll down the window and, like, take in a breath of fresh air, and it feels like I'm going to puke.
Sometimes just letting it out is the best thing.
What do you think? Maybe we can get to any of these people that are still holding on, or what?
One of the doors crumbles right after Earl says that, and there's some more frantic gunfire, which then abruptly ceases as the zombies spill into that particular home.
I don't know. Let me go find out.
No, wait.
I'll open the van door and start hobbling my way over there, leaving the radio in the seat.
What's he doing?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'll get out and snatch him up, essentially. Like, grab by the back of your collar and start dragging you back to the vehicle. Are you crazy?
We're still parked a good distance away from the most dangerous parts of this, so it's going to be a bit of a hike just to get into the ranches themselves. Much like Artesia, we're kind of parked a decent distance away.
No, I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to let him get that far, to be honest.
I'll jump out to help with him and make sure there's nothing that's going to ambush him.
You guys can almost kind of see it in his face at this point. I mean, neither of you guys saw when he got bit, but you can see it in his face, like just the color has been drained and he's got like the look of death in his eyes.
Where's Doc? Where's Doc?
Yeah, there.
As Matt gets closer to me, I just push him really hard in the chest. Back off, you little commie bastard. Leave me alone.
Oh,
I've got something to do.
You
And
die.
with that, I'll turn around and keep walking.
I'll tackle him.
Or hobbling best I can.
I'll tackle him.
Is he been bit? Who got bit?
I don't think anybody got bit.
Yeah, tackling him is pretty much a given at this point of his weakened state.
Okay, but he looks like shit.
Oh, he tackled me?
Yeah, he tackled you.
Yeah.
Get
Alright,
off of
yeah.
me. I've been bit.
That would been nice to know a while ago. Doc, like I'm looking back at Derek and like,
Just kind of froze there for a moment, and then I'll kind of snap out of it and run over.
Yeah, you're not sure when or where he got bit. I mean, you looked everybody over just a little while ago. The only thing, and it occurs to you that you didn't really look too far into that he had changed the bandage on his leg wound. So that's like the only place that you think it could be where he must have like covered up an additional wound in that same area.
check his groin. Check his groin area.
He checked it 4 times today. It's fine.
I mean, what kind of resistance am I being met with?
Well, he's tackled to the ground right now. I guess that's your call, Jason. What kind of resistance? We're not parked so safely. We're not parked away so far that we're safely like out of range of any threat of these zombies. Like we're starting to make a bit of a scene here, a good distance away, and some of the stragglers are starting to kind of notice what's going on and start investigating.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out.
Yeah, I'm out there with the.
I'll use my brawling and get out from under him.
Okay,
I guess
James.
we'll just try to hold him.
Yeah, go ahead, roll your brawling as well there, James, or whatever suitable skill you have. Otherwise, yeah, he's gonna basically throw you off. Yeah, Eric pulls you off of him just as Derek is leaning in to check. Are you, what's your reaction to Derek there, Jason?
I just give a dead look into his eye. Don't even think about it. Just let it go.
I don't do anything.
Kind of just look back and forth between the two. Like, what do you mean don't do anything?
No, I mean, I don't do anything. I like put my hands up pacifistically.
I'm standing with a shotgun. I'm watching for other threats. I look at Eric and I go, "So what exactly is your plan there, buddy?"
Look, I can't do much. At least I can go in there and find out what I can before they rip me apart.
It's very noble. As a good American probably would. But you're not going to get anywhere near there to give us anything of value. Because I can see my father's dead over there. And everybody else is very close to it. You're just going to die. And die in probably the worst way possible.
If I can get them to come over to me, whoever's left in there can escape.
More gunfire shooting from 3 of the remaining buildings, one of which also has its front door kicked in by the zombie horde that then breaks in and ceases the gunfire from that particular house.
So with his little plan that he's described, do I see a way that he could be a distraction that would allow us to get to those people safely, or no?
Not really. It's you would need like a much larger group than what you guys have here to be able to distract this many zombies.
I like the plan there, Eric, but it's just not. It's not enough. There's too many of them. It's not gonna work.
Well, I can't stay here. And with that, I turn around and keep hobbling my way back towards the buildings.
Doc, if we like amputate, is that going to do anything? Or is he past the point of help?
We tried that. It's just a needless amount of pain and mess.
Try to shoot him?
Matt, you got any more explosives?
Should I just shoot him?
He says it all seriousness. He goes, should I just shoot him?
Yeah, then I asked if you had any explosives.
I don't. Nothing like that. The one thing I had, I used that. I feel like I should do that better than what he's doing now. If that makes sense.
Get back in the van and get ready to do whatever you can when you can. With that, I start waving my arms and yelling, "Hey, I'm over here!" And I'll keep moving towards the ranch houses.
All right.
Hobbling, probably looking much like the zombies.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the silence to be the reaction or what discussion we've actually had so far. And we're going to put a bow on this campaign right here and now actually. I hadn't planned on ending it this way, but some of the dice tonight that we had, as well as a crucial decision regarding timing, which we can of course discuss in our aftermath discussion here shortly once we wrap up the campaign, have led to this conclusion. As we're down here in this kind of isolated, supposed to be protected valley, watching a full-on zombie invasion wipe out these prepared ranchers, the noise that was already made here well before you guys arrived from all the ranchers shooting in the area and all the explosions and what have you, have drawn more zombies in that are only now just arriving on the scene. And they're kind of spilling in, not necessarily on the same switchback trail that you guys took. They're kind of coming in almost immediately into the midst of the campsite itself, just through the trees, and seemingly from every direction, including the switchback trail and the obscuring trees from the direction behind your group. And I like to think of this as kind of a throwback to the original Agent Orange, that we had some cliffhanger endings that we didn't know at the time if we were ever going to come back to the story. And what the fate of these characters necessarily was. I remember in Don's case, the group that he was with when we played the first Agent Orange, it was a very similar ending. Like, they were just driving on the road, and then all of a sudden, there's 100 zombies in the road before them, and they've only braked 20 feet before them because they were kind of like coming up the hill, and they only saw them when it was too late, and you just assumed they're dead, they're gone. So I don't know if we're ever going to come back to these characters. We may come back next season. We may leave it here because a lot of the best zombie stories end with the group trying their utmost and arriving at a situation that just is impossibly hopeless to get out of. And that's kind of the situation that we're in right here. We arrived at what was supposed to be a safe haven. We saw a bunch of zombies going at it, and unfortunately we did not react in a flight instinct quickly enough, and we find ourselves completely surrounded by a shit ton of zombies. And that will be how we end Agent Orange Across the Pecos. Probably not the ending that we were all hoping for. Nothing is definitive that anybody has died except for Jason's character, who was, of course, certainly bitten. But for the rest of you, let's hear some thoughts.
Holy cow. I mean, I kind of figured someone was going to get it, but I didn't realize it was going to be like so. It would have been so unprecedented because none of us actually saw him get bit on that.
Yeah, for sure. He got bit in the same area as his leg wound while he was trying to scramble out of the flooded pit. And I sent him a text, because if you looked at the attack rolls I was rolling at the time, I did roll a natural 10 on a bite attack, which was directed at Eric at the time. And I just shot him a text that says, and he didn't even notice it until he had been pulled out of the water, until he had been drugged back to the van. And it was only then that he's changing out his bandage and he looks down and notices, oh crap, I've been bit.
I mean, I think it's interesting. Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
I was just I would explain his change of heart, like, oh, I don't need to go to Roswell anymore.
I just think that it was the different dynamics made it interesting. Like everybody had very different, unique individuals. Like from John's guy, I think he's a pacifist. That's the way I guess I would describe it. To just everybody, Earl, everybody has had a very unique mindset and how they communicate, how they came to decisions. Really cool to see, to be honest. I enjoyed doing this. It's a little bit different from what we've done before, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that, each character had its own personality. We didn't get along on a lot of levels, but we were able to figure out, different ways to. And I mean, it was pretty creative on how you were able to get us to bring the party back together again.
Oh, thank you. Even that was kind of fly by the seat of my pants, because a lot of the plot that I had for what was supposed to be the combined group still stayed intact. Like the family of 4 in the RV, that was always there. It was just something that was meant to be tackled more collectively between your group. I initially had thought that because the whole group would be together, that maybe we would be able to attach some kind of towing rig to actually drag the RV out of its precarious position and add that vehicle to our group, but unfortunately we didn't have the manpower or the supplies to do it in what ended up happening. And just to kind of speak to the dice and the timing kind of having their play in what happened tonight, the dice, of course, I already spoke to as far as Jason getting bit. I hadn't planned on that. That may seem like the obvious easy out, the character that was trying so the most to kind of separate the group into a different area. Let's just kill him off, and that brings everybody back together. I hadn't planned on anybody actually getting killed this campaign. I always wanted the threat of it to be there, but I wanted to kind of do something unprecedented where everybody actually makes it out against all odds. But that's kind of predicated on we don't dive headfirst into too many shitty, dangerous situations as well, which unfortunately we opted to do tonight. And even in regards to that, it was only when I rolled the natural 10 on a bite attack for Jason that was kind of locked into, oh, well, that's actually going to happen. And it could have just as easily been Justin as well, because I was rolling attacks against both of them at the time. But then as far as the timing issue is concerned, that was present once we got to Artesia, and we made not Artesia, but when we were in Carlsbad, and we were either going to cross the train bridge and find another vehicle on the other side, or take James's van up to Artesia, and then have a further delay from there where we drive literally all the way around the town before we're able to get back on track. That time delay changed the anticipated ending that I originally had in place of you guys arrive at the Lovington Ranch, and later on that day, here come a shitload of zombies, and the ending is us defending our new homestead and the potential promise of a brighter future. But I wanted there to be that kind of horror repercussions that because we're focusing so much on maintaining the vehicle and the supplies that we have instead of hurriedly making it to our destination, these are the consequences of we took our extra time. And again, because nothing is settled in the end, these characters could still potentially come back, we could still potentially have the van, and that end up being a risk that was worth the reward. Just the ending the ambiguous way that we have it right here and right now, we're not really sure about that. Everything is kind of possible. You're left to kind of speculate as far as what happens to your character and everybody else's character.
Yeah, we never really had the inclination that we were on a time crunch because they seemed like they were fine and safe and everything was good. So we're like, all right, we don't need to get there quickly. Maybe they don't need our help like right away or something like that. So
Very true.
we never really thought of that. I did notice one of those attack rolls when you were rolling the attacks against me and Jason. The natural 10, I was just like, okay, I guess it went off the armor. I haven't said anything, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, usually that would be something that I kind of call out in public, and the nature of us playing the streaming campaign here, it doesn't really lend itself a lot of times to me being able to be as secretive with you guys as I would like. But this one instance, because of how monumental it was and actually somebody was getting bit, I just shot Jason a quick text like, hey, you noticed that you've been bitten.
It was funny because I was getting text from Terry at the same time. So I'm like, okay. So, and I'm replying back to both of you, and it's like, I can see on camera, it's like, I'm obviously on sending a text, and you obviously pick up your phone, like, as soon as I send it. And I'm like, they're going to notice.
Yeah, that definitely was not hidden very well. I mean, there could have been at least 4 or 5 instances where we were shooting text back and forth where somebody could have been like, you guys, what's going on?
So nobody noticed that I named this character with the same first name as my accidental NPC for the last game.
I did not.
Yeah, didn't even think about it.
Which accidental NPC?
When I saw you guys talking about my local area, and I got so excited, online on the old website.
Yeah.
I was talking about this, that, and the other thing, and all, and you're like, no, wait, this is an RP thing, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And then you turned him into an NPC. The guy with the Jeep.
Oh, okay. Because I do remember having the Lance Nooner character as kind of a tribute for you as well, hoping that you would be able to jump into the campaign and just kind of take over that character, because he was very much similar to what James created for this campaign. He was a prepper. He had just years and years of MREs and dry goods and water and stuff stashed away. And he lived right off the river so he could catch fresh fish and hunt off the land and what have you.
Oh, most definitely. I didn't. I thought I'd named him Eric, but I guess I didn't.
You may have created something different in that RP that we were having that I just kind of lost to the fog of time, because so much happened on that website that I was unfortunately unable to chronicle before it was ultimately just brought down.
But I was, compared to the original character, Charles, that I played, he was, very careful, very fragile of mind, apparently. I was like, I'm going to play a character that gives no fucks, will rush headlong into danger, will likely be killed because of it, and I'm doing all right so far.
It can be uncomfortable sometimes to have so much conflict inside of a group, but considering how brotherly a lot of the previous Agent Orange groups have been, it was kind of a refreshing change of pace, because that's part of horror, I feel, is you've got the triple threat, especially in a zombie apocalypse. You've got the zombies that are a threat, you've got other people that are a threat, and then you've also got your own people that you rely on for support and survival that are also possibly a threat, because everybody has their own individual goals, which, in the true spirit of horror, those personal goals are going to trump any logic or any other loyalty to the rest of the group, and usually at the worst possible times, like Dawn of the Dead, when the guy discovers that because his girl's been scratched, the baby's gonna come out a zombie, and it's so subtly done, but then all of a sudden she's given birth and he's turned on the group to the point where he's shooting people who come in to investigate what's going on. There's no logic to it whatsoever, but that's his obligation.
I think we RP'd our conflict with the PCs amongst each other really good.
Agreed.
That was one of the things that I enjoyed. Not to create conflict from player to player, but from PC to PC. I think things went pretty good. We had differing opinions and differing perspectives, and I enjoyed the way it went. It's like you were saying, it showed the aspects of horror.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also a classic trope of the horror industry for parties to split up, even though, the logic says, hey, stick together, there's safety in numbers.
Yeah.
Or even the stupid things like what's that Geico commercial where they're hiding from the let's hide behind the wall of chainsaws.
Why can't
Why
we just
can't
take
we just
the
get in
car?
the running car? Are you
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah.
Head for the cemetery.
Yeah, exactly. I think you all did a great job with it, and I had a lot of fun watching this abbreviated version of an Agent Orange campaign. I enjoyed the faster pace, the fact that we could still kind of linger in some RP and try to take our time with decisions, but there was always that the plot kind of forcing the story forward. So we couldn't really linger for too long. We couldn't really come up with our best solutions and our best plans because there was always some danger, or even something as simple as impromptu on the spot, because I realized I'd kind of written myself into a corner. I had anticipated bringing your characters back together tonight, of course, but it's only when your characters, and I mean John and Dawn, you've severed Kate's ankle, you're now secure in the gas station, and now I'm like, how the hell do I get them out of here? They've got a safe place to be, and I need to get them to the north side of town where the others are, because I can't bring the others back to the south side of town, short of creating just an earthquake that opens a fault line through Carlsbad, and they're trapped on this side, and they can't go any way but towards the other characters. So it was just, yeah, Samantha's uncomfortable with the energy in the gas station because you killed a zombie in here. It completely messed up the juju of this place, and she needs to be out. And here's Don's character that now has the obligation that, even though logically he wants to side with John, yes, this is a secure place, we busted our butts making it secure for ourselves, he's like, no, I have to go with Sam.
And also, I mean, it played right into Paul's normal, spiritual psychic type thing, where it's like, okay, yeah, she's right, it does mess up the juju in here, so let's get out of here before more zombies are attracted to this evil juju.
Yes.
Well, yeah, John, do you have any thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts about COVID boosters at the moment.
Oh, that's unfortunate, brother. I was hoping you were feeling better by now, but we all know that can definitely take a toll on you in a bad way, for sure. So for next Tuesday, for tomorrow, let me first just interject that we're gonna have another Role-Playing Unlimited out of character, and we're gonna have special guest Tink Arbel, who is a friend of Dawn's and one of our earliest Role-Playing Unlimited supporters. And we look forward to discussing with her Renaissance fairs, tabletop RPGs, their influences on each other, and as Valtheris pointed out, cake. So we're going to have a brief detour talking about cake as well, apparently. Maybe the band cake. He didn't specify. But for next Tuesday...
They did say lemon cake. They did mention lemon cake. So.
He did mention lemon cake, but it's still kind of a vague term. For next Tuesday, I'm thinking in the gap between Agent Orange and our next campaign, which is going to be either Return to Baldur's Gate or Ultimate Star Wars What If. I'm thinking next Tuesday we'll do a live stream of Gloomhaven, with hopefully as many of our collective as we're able to garner. and just kind of have a nice kickback night enjoy the aftermath of this campaign, get some hype building for probably Baldur's Gate. I'm thinking that's the one we've been away from the longest, so that's the one I want to get back to the soonest. And then we'll kind of begin an alternation between Baldur's Gate and Star Wars What If, play a few weeks of one, get to a good plot point, play a few weeks of the other likewise, and alternate those until we come to another suitable conclusion.
That
Sounds
makes
like a
sense.
plan.
Yep, sounds good.
Bust out the dwarf voice again.
Oh, yes. So definitely looking forward to all of that here in the coming weeks. It's been a blast having this Agent Orange detour. It's unfortunate that it took so much longer to play than we initially had planned for, but sometimes real life just gets in the way, and that's how it goes with tabletop RPG groups. Either way, Roleplaying Unlimited, we are committed to finishing what we started, and that's exactly what we had tonight. I applaud all 5 of you. Thank you so much for an amazing experience. Thank you, Hans Loves D&D, for hosting each and every week that we get together. Thank you to all of our friends, our followers, our subscribers. I'm going to turn it over to the closing screen here after giving each of these fellas here a few moments to say their farewells if they so choose. Have a great night, all.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody have a great night. I did really think about shooting Jason, but I decided against it. So, but well, yeah, it was a good run. Good run.
Yeah, good night. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned. We'll see if there are the continued adventures of Earl or not. I know Hans wants it to be endless.
Yeah. Thank you all very much. Have a great evening. Hope to see y'all tomorrow night for OOC. Are you with us?